Hello students, welcome back to the online classes of physics. This is your Naimam is back again with the refraction of light on plane surfaces. We have learned in our previous class what is refraction, what is refracted rays, what is incident ray, what is the angle of incidence, what is the angle of refraction, and we have even learned about the absolute refraction index. Today we will learn about the relative refraction index. What it is? Relative refraction index. So in absolute refraction index, what did we see? We see that the speed of the light in vacuum is divided by the speed of the light in medium, right? N is equal to C by V. In this relative refractive index, we will see that the speed of the light in medium 1, speed of the light in medium 1 by speed of the light in medium 2. Okay, speed of the light in medium 1 by speed of the light in medium 2. This is nothing but the refractive index. Relative refractive index. The refractive index of a medium with respect to the another medium is defined as the ratio of speed of the light in medium 1 by the speed of the light in medium 2. Okay, so we will take this as speed of the light in medium 1 we will take as V2, and speed of the light in medium 2 we will take it as V2. Okay, by dividing both the numerators we will get V1 by V2. And if we are dividing both these numerators with C, okay, if we are dividing it with C, then we will get V1 by C by V2 by C. Yes, we will get V1 by C, V2 by C, right? So then what we are going to do? We are going to do V1 by V2 is equal to 1 by N1 by 1 by N2. How? C is equal to, in our previous like absolute refractive index, there we came to know C is equal to N by V, right? So while substituting this we will get VV as cancelled. Okay, VV we will cancel. So what we are doing, V1 by C is equal to N by V, right? And then divided by V2 by C is nothing but N2 by V2. So on the whole we will get 1 by N1 divided by 1 by N2. Yes, so what we are doing, just we are bringing this, we are dividing it, right? So N2 by N1. This is your nothing but relative refractive index. So N2 by N1 is relative refractive index. Fine. So which is nothing but the speed of the light, that is relative index of the second medium by relative index of the first medium. Yes, relative index of second medium by relative index of first medium is the relative refractive index, total relative refractive index. Is it clear? So now we will see the relationship between the angle of incidence and angle of refraction. Okay, we will see the relationship. What is the relationship, how it is obtained. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are just going to take a wooden plank which is covered with white paper. Simply we'll take a wooden plank which is covered with a white paper. Then to that draw the perpendicular lines. Two perpendicular lines we will draw. We'll take the paper, perpendicular one like this, then one perpendicular line like this. Okay, and passing through the middle of the paper as shown here. Let the intersection point be O. Mark one line as NN. One line we will mark as NN and the other line we will mark as MM. Okay, here the MM represents the line drawn along the intersection of the two media, and NN are the normals, and O is the center of the intersection. Now we will place the protractor here in such a way that the intersection point should be here at 0. Okay, straight line we should get. I hope the protractor is visible. So we'll take this like this and we will mark here 0 na, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, like this all the readings we will mark. Fine. Here again 0. We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Similarly, we will take this protractor at the other end also, and we will mark the same readings we will take from 0. Okay. Here this is your center. Now we get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Again from here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, so this is the reading what we have. These are the points we have obtained from the protractor. Now simply we will use a laser light. Okay, we will use a laser line along the NN in such a way that the light propagates from air to glass. Okay, we'll just keep a glass protractor and we will just put the laser light in such a way that the light, it should pass the laser, it should pass the glass from air to glass through the interface at point 0 and observe the path of rays. So when you keep the glass, if you're passing from like an angle, if you're giving light like it is passing, suppose it is here 0 na 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Suppose the angle of light ray is here like this, okay, straight line, then you can see that the ray, it bends after you see as a glass here kept, you see that the ray bends. Okay, the ray bends like this. So you see that when you are calculating it, you will see, you just take the this is the incident ray and this is your refracted ray. This is your incident ray and that is your refracted ray. So when we are measuring the angle of refraction, we will just take the angles of refraction at different points. Then you see that when simply you note down the what you are getting incident ray and angle, and what you are getting angle of refraction. That is sine I is your angle of incidence and sine R is your angle of refraction. Then simply you just calculate it, what it is, sine I by sine R. So when you take the readings, when you just divide this and you get the answer, that is nothing but you will get all constant readings. You will get all constant reading. That means the ratio of sine R and sine I and sine R is nothing but it is refractive index. So here we have seen that the rays are tracing out without any deviations. Here we have seen that the rays are tracing out without any deviation. So from observing this figure, we can say that the angle of incidence is known as critical angle. What it is called as? It is called as critical. The angle of incidence is nothing but it is called as critical angle. So we will learn about Snell's law. What is the derivation of Snell's law? How did the Snell's law came into derivation? Okay, so consider like a person, you are walking on the seashore. Okay, this is a seashore and a person here somewhere at this point is, you can see that the person is asking for help. Okay, suppose a boat is going and the person here, he fell into the water and now he is asking, he is screaming for help here. So this we will keep as A, and point where you are standing we will mark it as A and the man is B. Okay, let us draw a line at the seashore. This is nothing but your X, point X. Fine. Now let us assume that we are at point A on the shore and we saw the accident. In order to save the person, we need to travel certain distance and save him. Right? We know that if we can run faster on land rather than swimming in water. That is, if we swim in water, it will take much time wherein compared to the person running on the land, right? So what we are going to do, by careful thought, we would realize that it would be adventurous to travel a greater distance on the land in order to decrease the time which is taking to person to save the person, right? So whatever speed on the land and in what is the final path that one has to follow to reach the person is A, C, B. Okay, we'll mark 2 points. This here we will take as D and here we will take as C. Okay, D, C. The final point is we have to reach here either by swimming or either by running and save the person. Okay, so by running is best part rather than swimming. Yeah. So whatever on the land and in what the final path that has to be reached is nothing but A, C, B. Yes, we have to reach at the point A, C and B. So here what we are going to do, we are going to just mark the distance we are trying to assume the distance what it is going to be covered. So if we are standing here and we are trying to save the person here, if we cover the distance here, this will mark it as D and this we will mark it as D and this we will mark it as C. Okay, so if we cover the distance till D, what is happening? So we are assuming the distance here between A and the land is Y and this is X. Okay, the shore, the line of the sea shore is nothing but X. The person here is B and the distance we are assuming to travel is nothing but D and C. Now if you assume, like if you draw a perpendicular line, you can see that this at this point, if you draw a perpendicular line, that is the normal here, this is your normal, and if you take here as a perpendicular line, you can see that this is your normal. So this the distance this distance is nothing but E, fine, and this distance is nothing but straight line, this is nothing but F. Okay, this is nothing but F. So now if you assume to move from this point to this point, you can see that if we assume from moving from A to D, then you can see that you have to travel an extra distance of DF and then reach the B, right? This extra distance you have to travel, right, in water. Yes, if you are assuming from F, that is D. So, but as we assume that the distance, the time taken to reach from D to B and C, E to C is nothing but okay, normal, E to B, that is same. The time taken is same. Okay, from D to B and E to B, the time taken to travel is same. So if you jump from here or you jump from here, the time will be taken is equal only. So now what we are doing, we are taking the time as same. There is no change in the time, which is nothing but delta t. Okay, and the speed we are taking it as v1 and v2. Okay, we are taking speed as v1 and v2. v1 is the speed of running and v2 is the speed of swimming. Fine. So now if we take EC, EC is equal to v1, that is we are running from here to here, and if we take df from here to here, we are swimming. Okay, the point to reach this point from E to C we are taking as v1 as the speed and D to F we are taking as v2 as the speed. Okay, and time is delta t. Now if we divide EC by df, then we can write as v1 by v2. v1 by v2. Then I be the angle of incidence and R be the angle of refraction. We measure the path A, C, B with a normal NN, right? So when we are measuring it, what do we get? When we take the ratio of this, we will get sin I by sin R is equal to EC by DF. Okay? Whereas we know EC by DF is equal to V1 by V2. So we will substitute this. So what we will get? Sine I by sine r is equal to V1 by V2. From the refractive index we have learned that V1 by V2 is equal to N2 by N1. N1 by N2. Right? So we can say that N1 sine I is equal to N2 sine R. So this is nothing but your Snell's law. It's nothing but your Snell's law. So with this we complete the Snell's law. So if you did not understand, I request you all to go through the video twice and again try to go with the textbook so that you can understand it. Thank you for watching.